This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome, everyone. This is Melinda. I'm with Travel Central here in Metairie, Louisiana, right outside of the city of New Orleans. And welcome to our presentation on the splendors of the Nile River. Today, in for a real treat, we have two people who have joined us. One is Ashley. She has been a strong partner of Travel Central with Uniworld Boutique River Cruises, but in addition, Insight Vacations. We've been working with them for multiple years and always have clients who come back happy and impressed with their vacations. So we're always glad to do a presentation with them. In addition, I have one of my Sue Altman. She is one of the travel experts here at Travel Central, who is actually a Signature Select expert and has been recognized by Rico TripAdvisor. So excellent expert. Today, we're going to take you on a journey down the Nile River. And if this is on your bucket list, we'll be showing you an exclusive offer on our March 2022 vacation. So that's going to be at the end of the presentation. We'll first take you on the journey so you can see what you'll see and then decide if you want to go. Now, before we get started on the presentation, I want to talk to you a little bit about Travel Central and who we are. We've been in the business since 1988. We are definitely experts. We use our expertise, our resources, and our knowledge from the planning process to your return home. You deal with one advisor. They help you with all your issues or challenges. We monitor price, we monitor schedule, itinerary changes, and then help you make all those changes. Most importantly, though, we work with vetted and insured suppliers and offer you valuable information for your vacation. So we always say not only will you experience planning your vacation be enhanced, but it'll be definitely less time consuming for you and definitely with better information and deals. So now what I'm gonna do is turn it over to Ashley. Like I said, she is with the Velvet Collection, with his Insight Vacations and Uniworld Boutique River Cruises, and she'll take us on a journey to discover what I call one of the oldest modern civilizations. So Ashley, go ahead and take it.
Thanks so much, Melinda, for that great introduction. And I also want to say thank you to everyone at Travel Central for the opportunity to present this amazing itinerary today. It is true, Egypt is one of the most amazing ancient civilizations, and we will be talking extensively about the group trip that travel advisor Sue Altman will be hosting in March of 2022. But before we get to that, I just know that there are several of you on this call that maybe have not heard of the Uniworld Boutique River Cruise collection. And so I wanted to take a little bit of time here at the beginning of today's webinar and talk you through what makes us unique and different and what makes Travel Central want to utilize Uniworld as their leading river cruise supplier. There are many to choose from, but Uniworld, we really truly feel that we are the only luxury boutique river cruise line out there. And that is because of all of the items that you see here on this slide. First and foremost, I'm a foodie. I'm the first to admit it. And I will tell you that our food is second to none. I traveled to Italy with my husband, and we're both big pizza and pasta fans, and I could not drag him off of the ship to eat in Venice. He said, honey, I would rather eat on the ship. I do not want to miss one of those amazing meals. And that is the truth right there. Deliveries every single day are being accepted by our chef staff. So it truly is a farm to table experience, complete with ingredients from the destinations you are visiting. We also have a choice of carefully curated experiences, and oftentimes you'll find that there are 2 excursions a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon that are both included. And you can ask Sue, Melinda, and the rest of the folks at Travel Central. This is very rare when it comes to river cruising. Oftentimes you will have about 1 included excursion a day, but we do include oftentimes 2 per day. We also have outstanding service. We have a mantra that we state on Uniworld, and that is there is no request too large or no detail too small. Basically, if you can dream it, Uniworld will make it happen for you. If you're a Dr. Pepper drinker, we don't carry Dr. Pepper on the ships, but I have seen our culinary staff go out into the destination and bring back a case of Dr. Pepper for one very thirsty guest who had her fill of Dr. Pepper throughout the entire week. We do have the most all-inclusive amenities. So when it comes to your transfers, when it comes to your gratuities, when it comes to your food and beverage, and also those experiences, excursions, and the like, they are all going to be included with Uniworld. So you've got one low price, and it covers everything from start to finish. Also, the ships. I think if you spoke to Sue and the other gals over at Travel Central, they would agree. Uniworld is known for beautiful award-winning ships, and this is why we have been named Travel and Leisure's #1 river cruise line year after year. So enough about Uniworld, let's talk about the destination. When we talk about river cruises in general, more often than not, my friends and family believe that I talk about cruises in France and maybe on the Rhine or the Danube all day, but that is not the case. We have cruises all over the world, including in Asia, India, Vietnam, Cambodia, Russia, and of course, Egypt along the beautiful Nile, which is the topic of today's webinar. So we're going to start getting into it right about now. So if those of you have joined a little bit late, we are just now getting started with the evening's content, exploring the splendors of Egypt and the Nile on board a group cruise that travel advisor Sue Altman will be hosting in March of 2022. We have a brand new super ship that is going to be taking you down the Nile, and that super ship is called the SS Sphinx. This ship has 4 royal suites, it's got 20 grand suites, 2 standard suites, a couple of deluxe French balconies, and 14 French balconies. It's quite a bit longer and wider than many of the ships you'll see on the European rivers. And so because of that, these staterooms are quite a bit larger in square footage than you might find somewhere like France or Germany. In fact, some of these staterooms are over 400 square feet. That's more than double the typical size of a river cruise ship stateroom. So you'll definitely be comfortable on board the SS Sphinx. This is just a quick overview. Now we are going to go into the day-to-day in a little bit more detail. I will tell you, Melinda and I have gone over this presentation together in our little technical run-through. The amount of notes I have written in each of these slides, I could write a book. So there is truly a lot of detailed information to impart upon travelers that are interested in going on this cruise with Sue. So if there's anything that doesn't get covered today, we are limited with time. Feel free to reach out to the Travel Central advisory. Of course, Sue is going to be your main point of contact, as she's going to have all of this information for you. I've also sent over detailed information about the excursions as well as the extensions. So again, I don't have time to cover every single detail of each and every individual day, but I will do my absolute best. It is indeed a lot to cover. We start and end our journey on the Nile, or I should say our journey in Egypt, in Cairo. And first and foremost, you will be arriving at the Cairo International Airport. And we do include the transfer. So you will be met by a Uniworld representative, an English-speaking Uniworld representative at baggage claim, who will take you to your driver, who will be assisting you with the porterage of your luggage and transferring you to your hotel, which is the ever so opulent Four Seasons Hotel Cairo at Nile Plaza. Some folks may ask, what if I want to arrive a day early? Because I know that it's a long flight, and many of these flights arrive when you're coming from the US after 5 p.m. That is an option. Just work with Sue, and Sue can contact Uniworld to get you the rates for a single day in advance if you would like to arrive a day early, just to kind of get a little bit of rest before you begin your trip. Day 2, we are in Cairo, and the ancient quarter, I will tell you, it is intense. The colors, the sounds, there's a lot of people. It's very dense from a population perspective. It's likely been that way for thousands of years. We do have an Egyptologist who will be with you not only during the land portion in Cairo, but this individual will be joining you on the ship as well. These are licensed and certified Egyptologists who speak the local language and are a wealth of information when it comes to the local culture and history of Egypt specifically. So you will be able to ask any questions and get a lot of assistance if there's anything you need while you are on trip. The featured excursion of the day is going to be to the citadel of Salah al-Din. You get to see the 12th century citadel itself, the beautiful alabaster mosque, and also the Egyptian Museum. Now, many of you may have heard of the GEM. This is the Grand Egyptian Museum that has been slated to open for several years now. It was supposed to open in 2020, of course, with everything that went on last year, that got pushed back. It should be opening in 2021. Although no grand opening date has been announced. As soon as we know that it is open and ready for business, we will be visiting the GEM. That is the Grand Egyptian Museum. But at this time, because it's not open just yet, we're still slated to visit the current museum that is there, and that's the Museum of Egyptian Antiquities. But either way, you will be going to a museum. Let's just hope that the GEM opens this year. Photography of any kind is forbidden inside the museum itself. So just know that you cannot take any video, you cannot take any photos, including a digital camera or using the camera on your phone. So just know that they might ask you to put those away if you try to bring those out. Ladies, you might be asking yourself, what about dress and what to wear? Dressing modestly is definitely recommended as a show of respect for the local culture and customs of the Egyptian people. In particular, it is recommended that ladies cover their shoulders. So if you're thinking about wearing a tank top, because it is quite hot in Egypt, if you could please at least stick to a t-shirt, that would be a lot more respectful from a cultural standpoint. And as far as leg coverings, at least to the knee. So if you are going to wear shorts, maybe a Bermuda short or a short that goes to your knee would be more respectful from a cultural standpoint. But again, shorts and t-shirts are fine. Just make sure that your shoulders are covered and the legs are covered to the knee. Day 3, prepare to be amazed at the legendary Temple of Karnak. Note that we will be taking a flight on this particular day. So we will be flying to Luxor and we will be embarking on the cruise. So this is a busy day. In the morning though, after the flight is very early, so just a warning, it is before sunrise. After that short flight, it's less than an hour, so it's very short, you will arrive at the Temple of Karnak. It's a very vast complex. It's situated over 2 miles from the Temple of Luxor. It was originally established during the Middle Kingdom, which was around 1600 BC. And various dynasties over the next 1300 years continued to expand it and build upon it. Buried under the sand for 1,000 years, this UNESCO designated Karnak complex is composed of 3 main temples. So there's smaller enclosed temples and then there's several outer larger temples. In the afternoon, you will be boarding your ship, the SS Sphinx. So you will set sail for the beautiful Dendera. This is your first night on board the ship, and thus Uniworld has a very special welcome gala and reception prepared for you on board this evening. Now, if my commentary about Uniworld being very luxurious in the beginning of the webinar kind of puts you on red alert for what to wear, do not worry. It is very hot in Egypt year-round. We do not expect a tux and tails. Gentlemen, in Egypt especially, it is not very common for the gentleman to even put on a sport coat just because of the weather. If you want to bring one with you, this would be the evening where you might put on that sport coat with a pair of khakis. Ladies, more often than not, I see women in slacks and nice blouses. I'm a dress kind of gal. I have a bunch of those wrap dresses. I might put on one of those, but I'll only really pack one and I'll wear it on board for this little reception that we have here. So no need to pack a bunch of nice clothes, maybe throw in a blouse and a pair of black travel pants if you want. So don't feel like you need to be wearing sequins or bringing a suit. Uniworld is not that kind of cruise ship. We tend to keep it country club casual is kind of a good way to describe it. Day 4, we see the Temple of Karnak's twin, the Temple of Hathor. And this occurs in the morning. and this is at Dendara. So it was dedicated to the goddess of love and beauty. The temple dates back to the Ptolemaic era, when the heirs of Alexander the Great ruled over Egypt and adopted the Egyptian culture and religion as their own. So it was built somewhere between 125 BC and 65 AD. It's one of the best preserved temples in all of Egypt, and it features a very rare bas-relief of Cleopatra. So this is a very, very exciting day. Again, we saw the Temple of Karnak the day prior, and the Temple of Hathor is its twin. It's how it's known in the area. In the afternoon, we get to see the Temple of Luxor, and that's where you enter through the beautiful great pylon. It's a big ceremonial gateway where you see two giant statues of Ramses II that are still standing today, the big pink obelisk as well. So it was dedicated to the father of all life in the Egyptian culture, who is the god, of course, Amun. Sometimes he's referred to as Amon or Amon Ra, depending on which Hollywood film you're watching that day. But the ancient Egyptians came to this temple specifically to pay tribute to this god during their Opet festival, which is celebrated during the annual flooding of the Nile. So very, very interesting. Again, there's a lot more that I could tell you about it, but for sake of time, I do have to move on. Day 5 in the morning, we get to see the Colosseum of Memnon. Very, very exciting. Many of you who are joining today's webinar, you're itching for information about what you're going to see, where you're going to go. Maybe you're mulling over deciding whether or not you're going to be joining Sue and the rest of the group. Just know that this is a cruise that cannot be missed. The SS Sphinx was supposed to debut on the Nile in 2020. She was not able to debut because of COVID, and so this year she will be debuting this spring, and you will be amongst the first travelers within the first year of her being able to sail. So this is a momentous occasion. Many, many people have moved their cruises from 20 to 21, but there is still space on board the vessel in March, but you have to get in quickly because a lot of folks are still booking up. In addition to the Colosseum of Memnon, we also see the Hatshepsut Temple and the Valley of the Kings. So this is a very, very big day. Some folks may have heard that there are some hot air balloon rides that are conducted by local suppliers in the area in the Valley of the Kings. This is true. I've heard that way back in the day, Uniworld did used to work with several of those suppliers, but just due to liability, we no longer offer the hot air balloon ride, but you can ask your Egyptologist on board the ship, as well as your ship concierge. They might be able to connect you with someone that offers that hot air balloon ride. It does board before sunrise, but you can fit that in prior to your visit to the Colosseum of Memnon, the Hatshepsut Temple, and the Valley of the Kings visit later on in the morning, because it's so early. Again, Uniworld doesn't have pricing for this. It's not something that we offer, but it is one of the favorite items to do in the destination, especially in the Valley of the Kings. So again, it isn't something that Uniworld would be able to assist you with, but I have heard rumors, many times, very frequently, that the Egyptologist can connect you with the local suppliers that can get you on board. The Temple of Hatshepsut, if you are curious, it really is unlike any other funerary temple that was built during the New Kingdom period. It's used for burials for over 500 years, and much of our understanding of Egyptian mythology has been garnered from this particular temple. So there's a lot to talk about here, but I did just want to mention, ladies and gentlemen, if you're considering what type of shoes to bring, just know that there is quite a bit of walking, and it is quite sunny. So definitely be sure that you're not only wearing comfortable shoes, but we also don't recommend open-toed shoes. You know, it is sunny, it is hot, so sometimes you think about sandals or some of those velvet, hiking style sandals or boating style sandals. We really don't recommend it. There are, little pebbles and uneven footing. So we always want to protect your toes. So definitely wear closed-toed shoes if at all possible, and bring a large wide-brimmed hat, because there is shade in the temples, but on your walks to and from the temples, that may not be very shaded. So definitely bring your wide brimmed hat, bring your sunscreen, and in March it won't be all that bad, but bring your bathing suit because there is a pool on the rooftop deck of the SS Sphinx, and you do have some time in which you're cruising the Nile, such as on day 6. Day 6, we do visit the Komodo temple in the morning. And unlike most Egyptian temples, it's actually dedicated to 2 different gods. So most of the temples you're going to see this week are dedicated to a single god, like the Hatshepsut temple or the temple dedicated to the god Amun. But this one is dedicated to 2 gods, the crocodile god Sebek and the falcon god Horus the Elder. So we do believe that construction began on this temple somewhere between 180 and 145 BC, and it continued under later rulers all the way through 44 BC. So very much an intricate temple because of the dual gods that it represents. And if you are feeling a little hot and tired out from the morning excursion, in the afternoon, we get to do some bird watching via a boat ride with a local Nubian family. So we do take a little bit of a scenic cruise in order to meet up with our Nubian family, and we cruise to
Goddamn boring.
And keep an eye out for colorful native birds as we travel to a small Nubian village. And after we are done with our excursion, we will be arriving at the traditional dwelling of a local family and enjoying the Nubian hospitality with some tea. And here's just a little bit more of an aerial photo of the bird watching excursion and the view. It's a lot greener than I would have imagined. I guess I always just pictured the sand dunes. I never really thought about the fact that right there along the riverbanks, you would of course have greenery because of all the moisture. So because we cruised over to Aswan on day 6, we've stayed there overnight and we awake still in Aswan. This is a very, very epic day, and it's filled with wondrous things to see from start to finish. We begin at the Aswan High Dam, where we get to see the famous unfinished obelisk and the temple of Isis. So this is huge because it was Queen Hatshepsut that had commissioned the unfinished obelisk, and it was never completed due to a flaw in the stone that was chosen. So if it would have been completed, experts have determined it would have been the largest and heaviest obelisk ever attempted, and it would have weighed over 2 million pounds. So very, very, very interesting. Another highlight today is the beautiful Philae Temple complex. Originally, it was situated on the island of Philae, but it was painstakingly transferred piece by piece to the island of Agilica after the construction of the Aswan High Dam. So they really just wanted to save it from the rising waters of the lake upon which it was situated. So this was a daunting UNESCO funded feat. You'll learn a little bit more about it when you're in the destination. But I did want to mention that you are actually welcome to climb around the unfinished obelisk, but there are stairs, but we just want to make a note that if you want to try it, it is very, very physically demanding. So just note that unless you're in tip-top physical shape, you might want to think twice before attempting the climb. I know I don't feel like I'm in good enough shape now that I've seen some close-up photos. So again, you can walk around it, maybe try a few steps, but it is very, very steep. It's just an elevation thing for the most part. In the afternoon, we have another boat ride, and today we get to take our boat ride in a traditional Nile River felucca. And again, in the afternoon, we have another visit with a high tea at the Old Cataract Hotel in Aswan. And you might have recognized that name, the Old Cataract Hotel Aswan. It's a colonial era gem that has both Winston Churchill and Princess Diana among its former guests. This hotel, again, you might be recognizing the name of it because it was depicted in the Agatha Christie novel, Death on the Nile. So also something to note, as you can see from the next photo here, these feluccas are operated by wind alone, so they are sailboats. So we do only operate this particular excursion when the weather is permitting. If there is absolutely no wind, the felucca cannot sail. So just a note, weather depending, we will be riding the Felucia. I do want to go back a step just because I want to make sure I've got my notes in front of me from this prior slide, because in the evening, after we take our tour of the Old Cataract Hotel, we have a really amazing Nubian show for you. We have dancers that come on board. They are dressed in traditional Nubian attire, and there's live music, there's dancing, and they will ask you to get up and dance. So I hope that you are going to be packing your dancing shoes along with that bathing suit. Day 8, we can spend the day at leisure or join the Uniworld crew for an optional excursion to see the magnificent temples of Abu Simbel. So this is an optional excursion. It is a little bit extra because of the significance of Abu Simbel. Again, Sue and the team at Travel Central have all the information. If you have any questions about the cost associated or what you will see at Abu Simbel, definitely reach out and ask. It's a good one. It can't be missed. But if you're someone like me who enjoys lounging around, you will not be disappointed at your decision to stay behind because the pool is just gorgeous of the Sphinx. It's a really big and beautiful. It's a regular size pool. It's not a small cruise ship pool. Day 9, we get to visit the Temple of Khnum, and this happens in the morning. And this temple is a late Roman temple, and it is dedicated to Esna. It lies on the west bank of the Nile, about 34 miles south of Luxor. It was buried under debris for centuries and centuries, and it's just a very short walk. You can walk straight there from the ship, and on the way there, we get to visit a local market. Again, if you would like to buy anything or you feel like bartering with any of the local merchants, speak to the Egyptologist. I've heard from many, many folks who have taken this particular itinerary themselves, and they said that without the Egyptologist, they would have definitely paid way more than they should have for some of the items there in the local market. But you can find a lot of handmade local goods. It's always great to support the local economy. So if you're a shopper like me, be sure to bring some cash with you on the walk to the Temple of Khnum. There's also Apostle Hall, which has 24 pillars. They're huge too. You can see them depicted in this photo. I've seen a close-up image of Uniworld guests. It took 12 Uniworld guests standing around one of those pillars, holding their arms out to their sides and linking arms in order to make up the circumference of those pillars. So they don't look that big in the photo, but if you were to see a person in that photo, they would just come up basically a little bit higher than the lip of the base of those pillars. So very, very interesting. And then in the evening, you will enjoy a scenic cruise back to Luxor while you enjoy your dinner. And in Luxor, this is where we would disembark, and we take the short flight back to Cairo. Again, it's an early morning flight, and we will be checking back in to the Four Seasons Hotel at Nile Plaza, where you'll have a little bit of time to relax and refresh yourself before dinner. Day 11, we are back in Cairo. Again, lots to see. So you'll notice we have time in Cairo on land pre-cruise and time in Cairo on land post-cruise. So this is one of those itineraries that has some land built on both sides. But if you want to extend out your stay, we are going to be talking about additional extensions to some surrounding sites as we get a little bit more into the webinar. So stay tuned if you're looking to learn about ways to extend your trip. Day 11, list of bucket list moments today as we head out to Memphis, a UNESCO World Heritage Site with a number of amazing and well-recognized monuments to see, but the most recognized monument is likely to be the Great Sphinx that you see pictured here. A lot of fun, a lot to see. You can take photos. Just note while you're taking photos, you might have some very friendly locals come up to you and grab your camera, offer to take a photo. Just know that more often than not, those friendly locals are going to require payment for their taking of the photo prior to giving you back your camera or electronic device. So again, I always just mention, definitely lean on your Egyptologist for some insights into the local culture. Definitely don't want to get stuck with a stranger holding your iPhone for a hostage for a $50 photo of you in front of the Great Sphinx. So friends, if you're traveling together with Sue and the rest of the gang at Travel Central, definitely offer to take some photos of each other or chat with your Egyptologist and get some advice there. So the pyramids of Giza are also on the list for today. When you see these legendary structures up close, it really lets you appreciate their stone masonry and just the awe-inspiring architectural position, because when we see them from far away in these photographs, you don't really get the breadth and the level of detail that was really spent painstakingly putting these pyramids together piece by piece and stone by stone. So you will also see the largest and oldest of the three pyramids, and that is Khufu. And it was the tallest building in the world. At that time, it stood about 50 stories high. And this is just another photo of the pyramids of Giza. So there is a lot more to discuss when it comes to this cruise, but for sake of time, we wanted to spend about a half an hour going through the day-by-day itinerary, and today would be day 12, the day that you depart at the Four Seasons, and you have an included transfer that is facilitated by Uniworld to the Cairo International Airport if you are flying home. If you are not flying home, there are some options to extend. Again, we will get to that in just a moment. If you have been listening today and you're thinking, man, that's a lot of information. How do I really get all this into a concise framework? Well, this is a little slide that just gives you an overview of everything we are including. So the cruise itself is 7 nights. And during the entire cruise, you also have the 4 nights in Cairo at the Four Seasons. So when you see here where it says 4 nights touring, that is essentially us making mention that we do have 4 nights in Cairo, staying at that Four Seasons Nile Plaza. We're including 26 meals, including the welcome reception. There is also a farewell dinner on the night prior to disembarkation. So again, if you brought a sport coat, or ladies, if you brought a little black dress or a pair of slacks, that farewell dinner and that welcome reception would be the night to wear those. Again, I bring the same dress and I wear it for both. We're not that fancy on Uniworld, and 11 included excursions. And throughout the entirety of the trip, we will be seeing 4 UNESCO World Heritage sites. And that
Jesus, this is boring.
itinerary. Back to you, Melinda.
Thank you, Ashley. That was fantastic. I enjoyed the whole presentation. I have been to Egypt, loved it, but it just piqued my interest to want to go back, because there's no way that in 10 to 13 days that you can absorb all the things you'll see in Egypt, because it's so much of it. So now, Sue, you just want to jump on and say hi and just talk a little bit about you going on this trip for the third. This is third time is the charm. Sue?
Sorry, yeah, I hit the wrong button to unmute myself. Let's see if I can get myself on here too.
Hi, Sue.
Hey, let's see. I'm trying to get myself on here. Let's see, here we go. Camera?
That's all right. If not, we can, just share.
Yeah, okay. Yes, 3 times is going to, here I am. 3 times is going to be the charm. Hopefully, we have planned to do 2020, 2021, now 2022. I'm confident that we'll be there. I'm so excited about this itinerary, and would love to have other people join us.
Go to the next slide, Ash. So, Sue, if you want to go over the pricing, you want me to go over the pricing?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Ask questions?
Do we get to ask questions?
Yes, and we asked you to do it in the chat box, and if everyone could just please mute, because you put so much background noise onto the presentation, we'd appreciate that. Now, go ahead. If someone asked the question, what is the cost per person? Here we are.
Yes, and then I can't remember if this includes our discount as a group or not. I have to double check, because it's been a while since we put together the prices.
It does include $300 off per person.
Right, but if you pay in advance altogether, you're going to get 10% off of the cruise fare if you go ahead and pay in advance, which, you know, I think it's a great deal. And then if you want to do the air deposits, it's just a deposit, and then the final will be due at final payment time.
Exactly, and you also get $100 shipboard credit, which is a deal that Travel Central and Sue secured just for this group. So again, you have that $300 per person discount, you have $100 shipboard credit, and if you're able to pay in full, you get an extra 10% off. So lots of savings to be had.
Yes. Plus you get to be with me.
Can I come, Sue? Is there space for me? I also wanted to talk a little bit about the extensions. Sue, are you going to be joining either of these extensions? I'm very curious.
I'm not going to do that yet, so let's still check our calendar to Jordan.
Well, all of you will have to convince Sue to jump on one of these amazing extensions. There are two. We have a Jordan extension, which occurs prior to the checking into the hotel in Cairo, and that is a total of 5 nights, 6 days. You have the double occupancy rate there, and that rate is per person. We start at the St. Regis there in Amman, Jordan for 2 nights. And then we go to Wadi Rum, we go to Aqaba, and then back to the St. Regis Amman. So included is breakfast daily. We have a special group lunch, a special group dinner, all of the gratuities. We also include taxes and the porterage of your luggage. You get an Amman panoramic city tour. There's also a Jerash city tour, and you get a visit to a very, very special women's cooperative as well. You get to go to Petra. I've said a lot of this detail on over to Travel Central because there's a lot to see when you participate in either of these extensions. We have the extensions priced out. They're almost ready to book for 2022. We're just waiting on our coders to code them into our booking engine, but we have them built and ready to go. We're just waiting on that availability. Jerusalem.
I have a couple of questions about the actual cruise. So we'll just, before we get too far into the extensions, let's talk about that. Someone wants to know, what is a grand suite? So I guess you can talk a little bit about what the size of the grand suite is. Another person's asking about the single supplement, and somebody else wants to ask about King Tut. Can we see, is a King Tut exhibit in the museum that you talked about earlier?
All good questions, Melinda. So I'll start by speaking about the Grand Suite. I think that was the first question that was brought up. The difference between the Grand Suite, the regular suite, and the Royal Suite is just the square footage. Essentially, a Grand Suite is 430 square feet. That's 430 square feet, and there are 20 of them available on this ship. The regular standard suites, there's only 2 of them, and they are 344 square feet. And then we have 4 royal suites, and they are 495 square feet. So the royal suites, I have heard, have a panoramic balcony, including a little plunge pool. There's only 4 of those. The grand suites, which were the topic of the question that was asked, do not have a plunge pool, but they do have a step out balcony, and they have not only a sitting area, but also the actual bedroom. So it's almost like a double room type of grand suite there. The next question was, I believe, about the single supplement. The single supplement varies based on the date, seasonality, as well as which categorical level of stateroom that you book. So if you do have questions about the single supplement, Sue has the Uniworld contract, which includes on there the differentials in pricing for the double versus a single room, dependent upon the category. So again, just for sake of time and the space on the slides, we didn't have the ability to squeeze everything in there, but Sue has all that pricing. So feel free to reach out to her directly.
So if any, for the details of the trip on the single supplement and the size of the cabins, we'll be happy to answer that at Travel Central. So feel free to give us a call, email us, whatever. That would be fantastic. The King Tut exhibit, I think, is in the big museum. Is that correct? And the
That is
museum
correct.
is going through a major renovation. A new one is being built. It should be open next year, but that's what it is. So the King Tut is now in an exhibit at the museum, is from what I understand. Now, on
Yeah.
the Alice asked about the wine and liquors on the ship, ship, and I think so. Wine and beer are offered with lunch and dinner, and then you have a nightly cocktail party. But alcohol is not actually part of the actual cruise. Is that correct?
The liquor, correct. But
Okay.
the beer and wine, yes.
Okay. Do you go to the Valley of the Kings? I can't imagine you don't go to the Valley.
Yes, the Valley of the Kings is on day 5, I believe. And that is the day that you visit the Hatshepsut Temple and several other items. So yes, we did discuss that, and that is on day 5, I believe. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I think we have one more slide, and I would highly recommend either one of these excursions, having been both to Jordan and to Jerusalem. Incredible experiences for either one of those. So that I would recommend them. And finally, just to remind you, this year is going to be an interesting year, the next couple of years post-COVID. And we are really keeping up. We have access and resources to ensure that you have which require the new documentation, what insurances are required, certain countries are requiring insurance. That's really our goal. We are continually having changes, and that's what our advisors do on a daily basis, is not only book your vacations, but they actually make any changes necessary, or make sure everything's seamless, to make sure you have your air, your cars, your transfers, and everything is a seamless vacation, not just a Uniworld river cruise. It includes everything. And so with that, I think we'll just, we have some upcoming other virtual experiences. Again, our goal on virtual experiences really is just to explore destinations, to pique your interest, to go there, for you to learn the ins and outs of each destination. Our goal is not to give you the details, because that's kind of not piquing your interest. Your interest is to get you there and enjoy it. So we have places coming up: Mexico, Costa Rica, or the Caribbean is coming up. Of course, they are currently open to Americans. We have another group going to South America and Antarctica next year. So that's why we have in that one. We welcome. And then just to go to, before we go to the next slide, someone said, do the prices include air? And no, they do not include air. That's just cruise, the total vacation package, a 10-night vacation package. And I think we can go to the thank you. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. If you have questions, you can reach out to us. We did record this presentation, so we will be sending it by email to everyone. If you have any specific questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, following up with that email, or giving us a call at our office. Thank you.
Thank you.